Today on the table we have a Lord Elgin. Now this is a gold electroplated case with an elastic band. This particular watch is from the 1940s and early 50s, so pretty old. Um, the best of my knowledge, this one kind of works, and it actually came from a customer of mine. He wanted some other watches fixed, and said that I could use this one for content to fix, to sell, whatever I'd like to do with it as a payment. And I agreed to that because I love vintage watches, and I think I can make this a wonderful, beautiful piece. So I took on the challenge. And it has become a challenge. I tell you what, I've learned a lot with this watch. The hands rotate great, so it seems there's no issue there. I don't see the second hand moving. Is it moving? No, it's not moving. It moved a little bit. I think I got 2 seconds out of it. Yeah, I'll have to open it up. So, yeah, that's the quick surmised history of this particular watch. Let's go ahead and get the elastic band off. I'm not a big fan of these bands. They always seem to pull my arm hair. So I usually swap these out. I have a small collection of them from other watches I've worked on, but I usually swap them out with leather bands. I do prefer the look, the feel. I know that for the 40s and 50s, the elastic band was the fashion. I think it's more morphed into leather bands now. And believe it or not, this is a men's watch. It is smaller. I think it's only 32 millimeters, but this was the men's fashion in that day and age. So this is a man's watch. The Elgin National Watch Company, which is what this is let's see, Elgin, Illinois is where it was founded. Oh, Magic 8 Ball. Needed help opening the back. It doesn't want to pop all the way off. What's going on? Okay, got it. There we go. Okay, let's look inside. Well, that's not good. The retaining ring came out. I can fix that. Seems like there's some corrosion around the edge. Let's see if the balance rotates. It's a pretty watch, nonetheless. Yeah, it moves. It's a free-floating balance. Doesn't move well. It gets stuck, which I think it's broken. I think the pivot is broken, but everything else looks fine. A little bit of gunk. I think that's residual. Back in the 40s and 50s, they would use molcolite, which is a paste, and most commonly that's what they would use for metal on metal. molYkote. I'm probably destroying that name, but it is a gray, gunmetal gray paste, and it does not come off, but it does great for lubrication. So let's let down the mainspring and take the crown out, crown and stem, and see how much work this needs. Man, this is dirty. Look at that corrosion. All right, so I will clean and polish this with some pegwood. I think I can save that glass. Doesn't look too bad. Oh, look at all that. Okay, yeah, it's a great looking dial. It's pretty. Yeah, I almost went out of order. Let's take the hands off first. Seems like a good idea. All right, Elgin National Watch Company was founded in 1864 in Elgin, Illinois, and became the largest American watchmaker for more than a century. Their watches armed railroad conductors, soldiers, and a whole lot of proud dads on Christmas morning. By the early 1930s, Elgin wanted a premier tier. Enter the Lord Elgin line. These were the flagship models featuring the company's highest grade movements with better finishing, tighter tolerances, and jewel counts that made competitors sweat. Production of Lord Elgin wristwatches ran from the mid-1930s into the 1950s, with the post-war years considered the golden stretch. This is where Elgin pushed design and engineering, while the Swiss were still figuring out how to respond. Now, as you can see, I couldn't get the second hand off, so I had to loosen the dial a little bit to create some separation so I could pop it off. All those scratch marks are so that the numbers and indices can be soldered onto the dial. It's a pain in the buttocks if you ever need to swap those out, so I hope I never have to. Let's get the pinion off so I can get the center wheel off. Yeah, let's go with disassembly here. Should be pretty straightforward. Balance first, and then I'll verify if it's broken. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so mainspring's down, so there's no fear really here. These are counter screws, so lefty-loosey, righty-tighty doesn't work. It's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And then this is the biggest spring I've seen, so I don't want it launching, and they do. Boy, did they launch. So I always use another screwdriver to hold things in place as I pull those screws out. Take all of the main plate screws and the train of wheel bridge off. There's a train of wheels. There's the main plate. I do replace the main spring. I show that off camera. And I do replace the balance as well because, yeah, it is absolutely, the pinion is broken on the bottom. I'm still working on the balance. I got it to work a little bit, but it just barely kicks over, and it's not broken. It's worn. So it wants to work, but it doesn't. So I have parts on order, and I tried to replace the balance pinion. To no avail. I don't have the right tools yet. I have also tools on order, and that's the great thing about this hobby is you will need tools, a variety of tools, and experience and knowledge and research, and I learned a lot with this watch. So I got my first staking set, and now I need specialty tools for the staking set. God, please don't launch that screw. Okay. Whew, did not lose a spring. Let's get everything cleaned. We'll put it all in this little basket here. And yeah, I got to make sure that every piece gets cleaned. With that paste stuff, I want as much exposure to all the parts and the pieces as possible. You notice I didn't put the balance on the main plate because the balance is broken. There's no point in cleaning it. It's going to get replaced. But everything else gets put into these baskets in the correct order. And then they get a dip in a specialty ammonia bath. And then a specialty ammonia rinse. And then a spin cycle. That is the dirt left over in my ultrasonic cleaner. There was a significant amount. And we have the boss overseeing us, making sure that we do everything right. This is Sage. She's anything but calming, but that's her name. And she's dreaming of watch repair. And little barks and everything. I thought it was adorable, so I thought I'd include it. Getting back to the horticulture, we have the watch. This is all the parts and the pieces. So it is a great looking watch. It really is pretty. The dial cleaned up well. That watch band cleaned up well. Again, probably not going to use it, but it's nice to have cleaned. And that crystal, I was able to save it. I just buffed it and used every single trick I know to make sure that I could get all the scratches out. Let's get some assembly going. So, a little bit of lubrication for the mainspring barrel. Again, I replaced that. So there's a new mainspring barrel in there, so we get a nice tight wind. I do learn that the center wheel, which is going in there, and the fourth wheel need to go on before the main plate, and that's not what I'm doing. So I will struggle until I realize my issue. Yeah, it spins more. It does great. But how are you going to get the third wheel under there? You won't. So you need to remove it. So I will eventually figure it out. While we're figuring it out, and while we're getting everything moving, this particular model, the 556, it shows up at the end of the 1940s and continues into the early 1950s. It's a manual wind movement designed for slim dress watches and is part of the 12.5 family that Elgin developed for their higher-end wrist models. Today, about $200 on the high side with the gold-plated. But this one I got, as I said, as a trade for work provided, getting the other watches working. I figured it out. But here's another thing. I'm using the third wheel, not the fourth wheel. So that's another problem I have to figure out after I troubleshoot. I got the wheels mixed up. And they were so similar, I just didn't realize it, and I was focused on doing it the wrong way. I'll eventually figure it out and get it corrected. This 556 that we're working on is 21 joules, 18,000 beats per hour, has a sub-seconds layout, which is nice, shock protection, and you'll see me replace some of that shock protection joules. I use a microscope, but you'll see me take them off and then put them on a microscope, and then I'll clean them and do all that stuff off camera, but you get to see me take them off. Yeah, this is where I start to realize that I've got the wrong wheel after I flip it, because hey, maybe I put it in upside down, which I'm prone to do as well. So keep working this. I think that's really all of the history I have for this watch. Functionally, the 556 was built for accuracy and elegance rather than field duty. Think dinner jackets and not trench warfare. When serviced and regulated correctly, these movements can hold excellent time even today, which hopefully this current specimen will demonstrate. But first, I gotta get this balance working. It's fighting me tooth and nail. This is where I realize I have the wrong wheel because it doesn't want a seat. So the bottom jewel allows it, the top jewel does not. And this is where I verify that I'm not crazy. I put it in there and I try to manually spin it while I'm verifying it's in there. And it doesn't spin, which tells me that that pallet is too big for that jewel, which tells me it's the wrong wheel. So once I figure that out, it'll click right into place. Here I am manually manipulating it, making sure that it is in the jewel. Everything's spinning as it should. The teeth line up. Well, they're gonna. It's a train of wheels. They're all gonna line up. There it is, manual check. Figured it out. Yeah, a little tap there from frustration. Alright, so now everything should seat into place. And everything appears to be... no. Do I go back to old habits? No, it goes under the center wheel. There is a small wheel on top that the center wheel grabs, and that's what rotates it all the way through. And I think this is where I get it. No, still fighting it. It's gonna be a day. It's gonna be a day. All right, here we go. Got it. Now I got it. Haha. No, I don't. Damn. Okay. This is watchmaking, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens. You argue with yourself. You second guess yourself. And when you finally get it, that's what it is. That's that moment of joy. Now, here's the kicker. When you get everything assembled and everything fits in and you excited, you forgot something else. That's usually how it goes. So now that I have it all on there, main plate's on, everything's free spinning. I want to verify that none of the pinions broke. Center wheel isn't moving because it's not clicked in correctly. And click. There it goes. Did y'all hear the click? That was my high speed, low drag clicking noise. Sound effects. I don't have sound effects. I should get sound effects. What do you think? Should I put sound effects into these videos, ladies and gents? Alright, so what I did is I over tightened. You gotta loosen and adjust. Troubleshooting at its finest here. All right, the main spring is on, or the main plate is on, and the training wheels is moving. One thing that you all don't realize is the dexterity you end up learning with tweezers, and you can see that the screw did not want to be picked up. All right, so now that I got the two wheels in, center wheel, fourth wheel, let's get the third one in as it sits into place there, then the escape wheel. Again, the balance isn't working, so I'm going to assemble everything around the balance, and the balance will be the last thing that I get in there. So there is the train of wheels bridge. Hang on a second. I'll try it again. Train of wheels bridge. There it is. So I make sure everything lines up before I screw it in. I like to give a little bit of pressure with my fingers so I can feel it and not break anything. Because if you crank the screws down, you will break them. Let's put the lubrication on, and I go to put it on the escape wheel and realize that's not a normal jewel. That is a shock protection jewel. As you can see, it's got some screws around it. The yellow thing there is a post-it note. It's a trick I learned from Wristwatch Revival to use a post-it note and use the sticky side to hold the small screws and gems while you work on them. I have lost many, and I have an entire bag of spare ones for the next time I do. But that post-it note, that trick really has come in handy. So, Marshall, if you're watching this, I learned from you, man. Appreciate it. Let's do it again. What do you say? Sticky note. Jewels. And just stick there. It's great. Use a little bit of Rodico to pull that out, and then I'll clean it, and then put it back in. You guys can see how small these little screws are. It's so tiny, and they launch so easily. And that's what I was saying about the dexterity with these tweezers. You learn how to not over tighten your grip and how to strangle hold. You just hold just strong enough for everything to be held by whatever you're holding. Because if you over squeeze, you will launch a screw or a wheel or something, or you'll slip and break something. All right, let's get the intermediary wheel on. Remember, this is a counter screw, so left loose, no. Right tight, no. Right loose, left tight, yes. Oh, my old nemesis, the click spring. So in order to get this in there, there's a notch that I have to put it into, and also make sure that it's in between the two teeth on the actual click itself. The easiest way to do it is to remove the click, put the spring in, and then put the click back on. Everything got cleaned on this movement, so putting some lubrication under there will just make things easier in the long run. So that's what I did. Again, these things will launch, so it's always a good habit to have one point of contact on the spring while it's being manipulated until it's finally put into place. Otherwise, you will launch springs everywhere, and you'll have to get a backlog of springs because you will be replacing them often. All right, so left to tighten, right to loosen. See it in action. There it is. See? Launched it. Let's tighten. There it is. Lordy. There it is. Now it is. Third time's charm. Hey, it spins. And now the crown. I try to take this paste off. I get some of it, not all of it. I think that it actually, I don't want to say corroded, but I think stained it. I don't think that's going to impact the functionality of the watch in any way, shape, or form. It just looks not the best. And yeah, I do what I can to try to clean it up as best I can. Maybe out of one of the donor movements, I'll swap that wheel out with something prettier or something less stained or tarnished. But the functionality is still there. So let's continue to use it. A little bit of lubrication. It's good to have lubrication on metal parts, and this would be considered metal on metal, absolutely. To include the click spring itself, so you'll see me put that lubricant on the springs and everything else as well. So when the mainspring barrel ratchet, which is that, moves, the wheels move because it's trying to wind the mainspring. Until I get a pallet fork in there, it will free flow and free move all the wheels. That's a great way to check that everything is working. So until I put the pallet fork on, it's going to free spin. So let's put on the keyless works, and get the dial side completely finished. That's just personally how I like to do it. It's a pass-through screw, so that screw tightens down that keyless works, and for the life of me, I can't remember what that is, but it holds the stem in place. And we'll lubricate the center wheel, the minutes wheel, and the I don't remember what that is. It's a keyless works wheel. I don't remember the name of it, but it engages the clutch. So the clutch, when you pull out the stem on the keyless works, it engages in that little small wheel, which engages the minutes wheel, which engages all the other wheels. And this is metal on metal, like I said, so definitely lubricate that excessively. It gets used quite a bit with both winding and setting time, so that gets a generous helping. And then yeah, Now we got to put the spring in and make sure that the yoke is on correctly. I actually really like this yoke. There's only one way to put it on for it to operate. And 9 times out of 10, when I put a yoke on, I put it on backwards. And even knowing that, I'm thinking to myself, you're probably putting it on backwards, and I'll flip it. And then I put it on backwards because it was right the first time. Need to just trust my intuition. Did not latch that spring. That's good. So let's go ahead and get the retaining plate on. There's 2 small screws that need to go in. They are not horrible, but they are a little challenging. Quick check to make sure everything works. We'll put the stem in. I got to loosen that screw right there. Just a couple turns, nothing too crazy. Slides in, turns, and then tighten it back down. And it notches the stem. So there's a small little notch on that catches the stem. All right, everything works. So keyless work is engaging. It winds and it sets. As you can see, the minute wheel and the pinion are spinning just fine. A little bit of lubrication right there. And I will clean that up so it's not so messy. And then I'll take the stem out and put lubrication on that one. You definitely want to do that. You need that little bit of lubrication on the stem to make sure that you're not fighting the parts and the pieces, that they actually want to turn and free flow. So there we go. Yeah, this watch is coming together. This is actually fairly easy assembly, disassembly and assembly. We'll put the pallet fork in now. This is where you test everything. So once the pallet fork is in, when you wind it, the wheels will no longer spin because a pallet fork stops the escape wheel from rotating, which is what creates the pressure from the mainspring. And here we go. You see it bouncing? So I touch one side of it and it jumps to the other. That's the mainspring pressure on the pallet fork from the escape wheel running through the train of wheels. So now we can do dial side. And we'll lubricate that. Put on that center. I'll look up that. That's a small washer that is used to create a little bit of separation for the hands. We'll tighten down the dial feet screws. And they're just small little screws. Where'd that one go? Found it. There's small screws that kind of tighten around the feet of the dial to lock the dial in place. So it's twofold. It allows the dial to be locked into place and also make sure that it's aligned correctly. The hour hand first, I like to make sure that everything is on 12. It's really beneficial when you have a date-time complication to have everything on 12. That way you know that when you're setting the time, it'll kick over at 12. So I like to turn the crown and stem until it about kicks over, and then put everything on 12, and then turn it a little bit, and it kicks. That's how I set it. The minute hand gives me a little bit of struggle here. Want to know why? It's on upside down. See, I told you I do this frequently. Upside down, I mean. Yep, there we go. 12 o'clock. Pardon the zoom. It was, I didn't realize it wasn't locked. But let's check the functionality here, make sure that they move. And these numbers and indices are a little bit raised, so they actually hit the minutes hand. So the corner of it actually clicks right there. So I gotta manipulate the minute hand just the tiniest a bit to create that coverage. It looks like they're on. Let's do the seconds hand. So this one just falls into place, and a little bit of pressure pops it in. No balance, so it's not going to be running, but I can manipulate the pallet fork and see it move, which is what I do here. I give it a little bit of wind so that the pallet fork moves more freely on its own, and I just wind or kick it over about 10 or 15 times to see if the seconds hand moves 10 or 15 seconds, and it does. So I know that everything's running. This is a broken pallet or balance pinion, so you can see that little nub. That shouldn't be a little nub. That should be a sharp point. And that's how I know it's broken. This is the donor. This donor is also worn, but not as bad. I have a perfectly good one on the way, but this is what I had to get it going. And there she goes. Kicks right over. Now again, it's worn, so it's not going to be perfect. And it works for now. But I want it to work better, and I want it to actually hold time better than it is. but it allows us to do the assembly. As you can see, second hand running smartly. That is a pretty watch. I do like the two-tone and the cursive numbers. It just fits well. So in order to reassemble into the case, I have to take the stem and crown off. Here's the case all polished up, and I used a polishing solution and a rag. I did not use a tool. I just used my hand to get it polished. If you use a tool, it tends to wear away, and the electroplating from 1940s and 50s isn't going to be very thick. So I don't want to wear away the gold into the brass. It'll be very obvious. This is lubricant for the washer that goes on the back plate, or I'm sorry, the end cap, something. My brain's fried right now. It just goes around the edge, and the lubrication keeps it from drying out and cracking and creating more problems than is good. So it just slips right on. Again, sorry about the focus. Did not realize it wasn't focused until it was too late. This is making sure that it's flat so that it tightens down all the way. If it's not flat, you'll create a dent or a crease, which will invalidate the whole purpose of having a washer or a gasket on there. We'll use the little inflatable ball here, tighten it all down, and then I'll get the hands on. And the bands, I really like with this watch. I think it serves well. Actually, a friend of mine from the second hand, she chose these hands. She said that they look smart and really like the look. So if you guys don't already follow the second hand, you should do so. She does watch repair as well, and she's much more entertaining than I am. Lizard calf, that's what I used. These are 16 millimeters, so not the thickest in the world, but definitely look good. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this. Not too long, not too many complications on camera, other than my own mistakes, which again, I'm learning all the time. And that's what this hobby is, learning. So thanks for hanging in there with me. Do comment below if you have any questions or saw something I could do better. I'm always learning, and I really enjoy the feedback. And yeah, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, which at the time of this recording is tomorrow. So happy holidays, everybody. Thanks again.